welcome to American Freedom Radio. You're with Santos, Bonacci. It's Sunday the 3rd of June, 2 days away from the Great Venus Transit, and it's a nice, wet, drizzly Sunday morning here in Melbourne. It's great to be with you, and thanks for tuning in and listening today. Today we are going to be joined by Mark Hollywood, whom I've had before on the show, dealing with matters of lawful freedom and sovereignty, etc. And later on, hopefully, we'll be joined by Kate of Gaia, whom I've also had on the show many, many times. So I hope you enjoy the show, and thank you for joining us. I mentioned the Venus Transit, very exciting. We've had a lunar annular eclipse, solar annular eclipse, I should say, and that was very exciting. And we've got this coming up, and a few other more interesting alignments for the rest of the year. Amazing stuff in the skies above. So look out for that one, and you should notice the power of the Venus Transit coming in a couple of days. So I'd like to welcome Mark. Mark, are you there?
I am. How you doing, Santos?
Yeah, very well, thank you, and thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Last time we spoke a lot about your sovereignty with the Squamish Nation, and we had Irene on from the Squamish Nation, and she was very positive, very encouraging. We learnt quite a bit about true sovereignty. We learnt about how to lose the name, etc. So that was great. And I have been updated by Irene. She was hoping to join us for today, but very, very busy. So that's good. And everything's going ahead there with her plans.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Excellent. All right, Mark. So I guess it's you and I until Kate joins us. And I guess we can just start off where we left off last time. Any new developments on your side? What have you got new that's that you can share with us? And what are you keen to share with us today about sovereignty, etc.?
Well, I do have something new. Mind you, I covered it in my videos, and I'll pull it up right now, Santos, and I'll read it off to you, okay?
Yep.
And it's called a security certificate. And it says, in Canadian law, a security certificate is a mechanism by which the government of Canada can detain and deport foreign nationals and all other non-citizens living in Canada. So for all you citizens around the world, whether from Melbourne, Australia, or Canada, or United States, or whatever, if you start renouncing your citizenship, they're saying here that the federal government may issue a certificate naming a permanent resident or any other non-citizen suspected of violating human rights or having membership with organized crime or is perceived to be a threat to national security. So for all those people out there who are declaring or reclaring, as my word is, that they're not citizens, do keep in mind that's why I joined the sovereign Squamish government, so that the government of Canada couldn't say, well, we have an illegal alien on our ground, right? So that's why I did that. So I just wanted to point that out. And it does say here, too, that subjects of a certificate are inadmissible to Canada and are subject to a removal order, where the government has reasonable grounds to believe that the individual named in the certificate is a danger to national security, to the safety of any person, which are their corporations, or is unlikely to participate in any court proceedings, the individual can be detained. The entire process is subject to a limit form of review by the federal court. So I just wanted to point that out to anybody and everybody on what's going on with that. And that's why I joined the sovereign Squamish government.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've thought about the whole thing out. They've thought about it thoroughly, haven't they? I mean, they are not going to lose one little slave so easily, are they?
That's right. And you know what, Santos? You just brought me up to a smoking point that I have to share with everybody. And the reason why they get so upset and uptight and aggressive is because they draw up bonds, like on your driver's license, your birth certificate, the whole 9 yards. And they draw up bonds. So when all of a sudden somebody comes by and says, listen, I'm no longer an American citizen or a Canadian citizen or an Australian citizen, they're losing millions, if not billions of dollars to help support their fake, corrupt, de facto war machine. And that leads me to another point, because, like, in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it states that the security of the person, their son, is their corporation. And that's the security. So when they start losing that bond money, that's when they get upset and uptight and angry and aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you can see, too, what I was just reading off, a security certificate, we're right back to any time you have something notarized, that becomes a security. And that's why you take it to the authentications office or the apostilles office. And and there's one last thing I'd like to touch about, too, just to wake people up, as far as the security of the person and the liberty. When people hear liberty, they think, oh, great, I'm free to move. I can do whatever I want. It means freedom. No, LIBOR is a number, sometimes called the Lieber number in the States, Leiber, or just Liber, and you've been tied to that. So anytime you see TY, like liberty, TY stands for TIE.
So LIBOR, T, you have been tied to your number.
That's right, and that becomes the security of their person. And something else I should point out, like in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, because we live in a democracy, and like Jordan Maxwell says, demo means mob, and cracy means rules. So we live under mob rules. And in a democracy, supposedly everything's supposed to be for the collective good of everybody, not just for, say, one man, right? But here's the kicker. When all these fake de facto courts are taking people to court, how dare them make a claim on your land when effectively in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms they can't, because if it says everyone has the right to enjoyment of property, so basically nobody can own anything in a democracy. So if I can't own the very house that I'm paying a mortgage on, why would I buy a house? And furthermore, when you go to court, how dare somebody from that court state that they're making a claim on your house if you're late on your payment, if it states that nobody can own it, and that everybody only has the right to enjoyment of property, not to ownership of it.
Yeah. Goes back to usufruct. Have you heard of usufruct?
I've heard of it, but I don't remember too much of it. It was quite some time when I heard about that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to pull it up on Wikipedia, and I'm just going to read a little bit from that, Mark, because this is something I'm learning about from the sovereigns in the UK. They're pretty switched on to this. Usufruct is a right of enjoyment, enabling a holder to derive profit or benefit from property that either is titled to another person or which is held in common ownership.
Yeah.
As long as the property is not damaged or destroyed. In many usufructory property systems, such as the traditional ejido system in Mexico, individuals or groups may only require the usufruct of the property, not legal title. Usufruct comes from civil law, under which it is a subordinate legal right of limited duration, usually the person's lifetime. The holder of usufruct, known as a usufructuary, has the right to use the property and enjoy its fruits. So usufruct means use the fruit. Usus, U-S-U-S, is the first part of this word, and then fructus, F-R-U-C-T-T-U-S. So, I'll just read a little bit more. Under Roman law, usufruct was a type of personal servitude, a beneficial right in another's property. The usufructuary never had possession of his property on the basis that if he possessed it all, he did so through the owner. But he did have an interest in the property itself for a period, either a term of years or a lifetime. Unlike the owner, the usufructuary did not have a right of alienation, abusus, but he could sell or lease his usufructuary interest, even though a usufructuary did not have possessory title. He could sue for relief in the form of a modified possessory interdict, prohibiting order. So isn't that interesting? This is pretty much what you're talking about, and it appears that we can use things but not own them.
That's right. And you know what that's called? You know what what you just read, Santos, is? That's called the pursuit of happiness. And they call it PURSUIT in the States, right? The pursuit of happiness. And that's basically, if you're getting screwed, well, you can sue them for your happiness. But it's pretty bad when you live in a day and age and a society where you have to sue somebody to be happy. And good luck, and good luck suing the government when they've claimed that they're a dead corporation. Like the government of Canada is dead. They're a corporation. So how can you sue them? And they all avoid the liability by acting as agents for a dead entity, which is the corporation, say, of Canada.
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it? So really, they're also using the securitized birth certificate, aren't they? They're not really owning it, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it?
No, actually, Santos, they own it, because what happens is you're back to the fructose there, right? Mm-hmm. You're back to that, because what happens is when you apply for the birth certificate, right, your parents give up a statement of live birth. Here in Canada, via the Citizenship Act, C-29, 7 years later, if the parents don't claim that kid back, that kid basically becomes an orphan. In Canada, the dead entity comes along and says, thanks for the salvage. That's now our kid. And that's how children become, say, citizens. And then what happens is we think that all along we're running around and that is our name. No, that becomes the government's name. And we gave up the property, and like that usury fructose thing that you were just saying, then you become the agent to that, meaning that, well, you can enjoy the benefits off the land, but you can't own it. So if I can't own the land and I can only enjoy the benefits of you saying, oh, well, I didn't make a very good agent or trustee on that property this week, then they're going to give you the benefit of throwing your butt in jail.
Yeah.
And that's not a benefit I'm willing to accept. And that's the biggest scam ever. So if the government of Canada, or say Australia or the United States through the Constitution, if they can't own anything, how dare these people come along in the private and try to rip you off using the Constitution?
Right. Well, that's okay. Well, that's the point I was trying to get at, because when they hurl your butt into court, most of those agents, they're agents working for the corporation, and they do not own the name either. So they're making a claim. Most of the prosecutors, like the police departments and everything like that, they are also not owning this securitized bond, are they? They're just agents also. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that so?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So you've got a someone from the police force that is taking you to court because you've been speeding, okay? So they're making a claim on a name that they don't own either. They're just an agency, right?
That's right.
Good.
The trustees to that name.
Good. That's clear in my head now. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So the government that actually owns legally, I don't know about lawfully, the birth certificate, that government, who is that? Which office is that? Who can we pin it down to?
The Register General. The Register General, like here in Canada, okay, and look at the General of an Army, right? The Register General is actually called Corporations Canada. And because the police don't own that name, they're saying that, oh, well, the government owns that name, and that the Register General is just registering the fact that you left that name as salvage, and that becomes their salvation.
Wow. The whole system is based on ecclesiastical principles, isn't it?
That's right. And that salvation they speak about in the Bible, that's why they call it soul trading. They're trading your soul via your birth certificate and your human resources, right? Your resources, your sweat equity, and they're trading your soul on the stock exchange, and your soul is the stock, and at the end of the day, you're getting exchanged. You're getting nothing back. And they're raping us. They're making billions, trillions off us.
And simply because these agencies know that they don't own the name either, but they're making the presumption. So everything's based on presumption. And of course, you go into court thinking you need to be honourable. And so you go defending that name, and in so doing, you are committing fraud or being belligerent or creating a controversy. Therefore, they've got your butt. Okay.
That's right.
Let's see if I've got that right, and we'll clear that up after the break. Let's take a break. Thanks, Mark.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotic.
Freedom.
Oh, yes. I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
Consciousness is awakening the masses, and people don't like what they see. When you wake up, you look around and you see how things really are. And Mark, we can see the results, and we can see what's occurring around the world on the secular plane as a result of consciousness sweeping the earth, and people are just seeing all the fraud that has been perpetrated upon them. It's quite interesting times we live in, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, and it's overwhelming. And you know what, Santos? I'd like to say something. You were talking about presumptions, going to court, being the defendant, okay? Now, look at the word, presume. Presume, right? So by being a citizen, a slave, cited as then as being on their ship, right? Slavery. You've cited as then as being on the ship. You're going into presumptions. You're getting pre-sued, presume, right? Presume. And then people are walking into these courts and they're acting like defendants. And who do ants defend? They defend the Queen Ant, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, something I would like to address, Santos, and if you don't mind, I'm going to babble for a couple of minutes, but a lot of people, they claim that they want the truth. But you know what it really comes down to? They can't handle the truth. And they'll do anything in their soul, they'll do anything in their mind to avoid facing their soul. And something I would really like to address is, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. And I don't like the word religious as the first four letters, R-E-L-I, re-lie. I'm not into lies and re-lying. And all these Christians and Catholics, they're all self-righteous. They'll kill their neighbors with their tax-paying dollars. And what was the first commandment to the Bible, or one of the commandments? Thou shalt not kill. You know? And then, and something I do want to bring up is, like, people talk about Jesus, you know? Now, Jesus was a corporation, and they persecuted him. He flipped over the money changers' tables. Now, I'm not saying he was here. I'm not saying he was alive. He wasn't alive. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. But he flipped over the money changers' tables. He was addressing their situation, saying, listen, I'm not into religion myself. And then you guys come bringing in your dirty skank-ass dollars into a church. How dare you bring that into the house of God? And furthermore, here's what people have to realize. Jesus was a corporation. And to make things simple, what did they do? They persecuted him. And after they persecuted him, what did Jesus say? He said, listen, I'm not part of your corporation. I'm going to redeem myself, and I'm going to come back to life. So Jesus was dead. He was a dead entity / he was a dead corporation. And what did he do? He redeemed himself and brought himself back to life. Now, if that Bible isn't a good story and isn't telling people exactly what to do and what not to do, as dead as slavery and usury, And even all these Anglicans, these Anglicans, look at the word, Anglican, can I lie again? You know, it's like reliability, the ability to rely. And Protestants, Protestants, you know, people better wake up. All these Catholics and all these Christians, Christ I ams, and all that, they better pull their heads out of their asses and stop giving their money to some de facto government so that they can go kill little innocent Palestinian and Afghanian children overseas, because it really makes me want to puke.
Yep.
And the funny part is, Santos, the funny part is, too, all these Catholics and Christians running around, you know what the first ones to judge? Them. And I got words for them, too. Judge not, lest ye be judged. I'm so tired of all these self-righteous assholes running around on this planet, and meanwhile they're talking about, oh, I love God, and God is good, but let me give the Prime Minister or the President another $5 so they can go buy bullets and napalm poor colored people overseas. It just makes me sick.
Yeah. I've pointed this out too. I mean, if we want to do and avoid what is condemned in the Bible, one of the things condemned in the Bible is actually your tax collectors. So, you know, and people looking for donations, like the churches, for instance, is just another tax. And tax collectors have always been looked down upon by the spiritual elite, or, in other words, the priest types and the spiritual ones in the community. So, along with money changing, all these money things, isn't it interesting?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and this is a way for them to make some more money, because you see, they know that the name is belonging to a government which is a dead corpse, but they resurrect that name when they make a claim against it, and they hope that you turn up as the, well, I guess, are they looking for a beneficiary to pin it onto, and hoping that you're going to go in and defend it, put life to it, so the moment you go into court and make a statement, I'm not this, I'm not that, or I'm whatever you say, you're done, because you're belligerent and creating a controversy, so they own your butt, right?
Well, that's right. Look at the word contest. People are walking in, and technically, all these people, like, they think they're the beneficiary of these government-certified names when they're not. They're the trustee, and the agent is the trustee, and the agent or the trustee is always the one who pays taxes. So the government will say, oh, well, you were doing 200, you were doing 60 in a 50 zone, you owe $200, and they're saying that they're the beneficiary to the account. And look at the word, ben, and fishery. We live in the age of Pisces. Jesus was a fisher of men. They're fishing for your tax-paying dollars. And then, speaking of the Bible, you're back to the parables. Are you par able? Are you able to speak at par? And these people walk in like a bunch of little defendants. Oh, I'm an ant, and I'm going to defend the queen. Well, you're going to go down with the ship. And that's why, like I said, like, oh, well, listen, I'm getting off your ship, and I'm joining, I'm now a foreigner. Look at the word, foreign, right? I am. So I'm a foreigner, and that's why I joined the sovereign Squamish government, because I don't pay taxes, and I'm not giving these people $5 so they can go commit treason and, adulterous crimes and stuff, and that way there too, back to that certificate we were speaking at, that's why the notaries are so important, and same with the authentications office, which comes from the Justice and the Attorney General's, get this, corporate service division, so everything's back to the corporation, and people have to be like Jesus. They thought he was the corporation, they persecuted him, and all of a sudden he said, you know what, screw you, I'm coming back to life, and here I am. And then he took off to say, bye, I'm no longer part of your man-made lunacy.
Yeah. And this is what it means, the dead shall rise. The dead,
that's right,
means the corporate dead, or the people that don't know that they are not persons, that they are true flesh-blood people. So if they're going around participating in this fraud, defending that death state and putting life to it, well, they're going to be joined to it, aren't they?
And Santos, exactly. That's the joinder. And here's the kicker. Didn't Jesus say, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do"? Isn't that ironic? Isn't it? And, getting back to Jesus, right? Like, I don't know if you did that call with Marty Leeds or not. That because I'm an electrician at heart, right? I'm always crunching numbers and playing with numbers and figures and angles and stuff. And if you take the numbers 0 through to 9, right? If you take those numbers, basically, when you take through the gematria, M, A, and N basically are the letters number 1, which through Marty Leeds' work states that Jesus was a man. So if 0 is the Son of God, or the sun in the sky, right? Because without the sun, we'd all die. So if 0 is the Son, which represents 3, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, well, then 1 must represent Jesus. And if you take the numbers 0, 1 through 9, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, the next number beside 1 is 2. And if you put the numbers 1 and 2 together, what did you have? You had the 12 apostles of Christ. If you take 1 plus 2, that's 3. And 1 and 3, that's 13. And that's the 12 apostles of Christ, or the 12 constellations. And Jesus, so say Jesus Christ, which was number 1. Isn't that ironic, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
That freaky or what?
Yeah, so can you run that? Can you do that again? 1 and 2 is the 12, and then 1 and 3
is your 13, which would constitute your 12 apostles, and the 1 plus, which would constitute your 12 apostles or your 12 constellations. And you take Jesus with the 12, that makes 13. And what's 1 plus 2? 3. Tack the 1 and the 3 together, and you got 13. And they say that 13 is supposed to be an unlucky number. No, I think it's a very beautiful number.
Yeah. Oh, of course it is. Yeah, it rounds out the 12.
And say like you take number 9, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you take 8 plus 1, that equals 9. If you take 7 plus 2, that equals 9. If you take 6 plus 3, that equals 9, and counting backwards again, 5 plus 4 equals 9. See how it just keeps going? And then you add those, and then, too, you're back to zeros and ones, which are your binary system. So basically, I think the Bible has been a pack of lies. There's truth amongst it, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of deception, but it's all based on numbers. Like M-A-N in Gematria, they all equal 1. So if M-A-N being man, they say that Jesus was a man, and he was number 1 to the 12 apostles, which equaled a crew of 13, And everything comes back to the zeros and ones, which is either the Son of God, the Son, and man, So that's some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and then
it's all numbers.
That's it. And then, you get into, back to the dead and all that stuff. And, basically, like you had said before, like everybody is just like, we're all stardust. And that's why when kids are kids, they're called youngsters, young stars. And we're all electricity, like Elohim, right? El of him, Eloah, right? El of her. And El means to be the elect. And we run around electing these government officials when technically we shouldn't be electing them because we think that we have the right to vote. But we're part of a minority government because the chief executive officer always owns 51% of the shares. So to all these people who think they're going to vote for change, they'll get their change all right. They won't get any change back. They'll get X change.
Yeah, and they always do, and they always fall for it, don't they? 4 years ago, they fell for Barack Obama, the new Messiah. Oh, yes, going to close down Guantanamo Bay. He's going to bring the troops back home. He's going to decrease taxes and all of these things. And he's done exactly the opposite. And don't they all, and don't they always?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it makes me sick. And that's where, even back to the Bible, like I say, there's lots of truth and lots of bullshit. But the Bible said, be stewards of the land, and the land is your body. The body is the land. You come, and where do you go when you're dead? You go back to ground because we're electrical in nature. And then the Bible says, don't go out dealing in sin, and everybody applies for a sin, social insurance number. Or in the States, SS number. You know, SS Germany maybe. Oh, you bet your sweet ass. And then people are running out for it.
Yeah, good point, Mark. Let's stop at that word sin for a moment. Well, let's not stop there. Let's discuss the word sin because, because that is going to uncover a few frauds. You see, in their system, they've given us the word signature, and of course, when you sign something, you've got a silent G in the word sign, and when you remove that silent G from the word sign, you get sin. Now, this is not a coincidence. You know, I mean, probably one or two of the listeners will go, oh, yeah, well, that's just, sign, signature. That's just the way the English language works. This is how the tricksters have built the system. They've inbuilt it with these tricks, you see. You think the word means one thing, it means another. This is what legalese is all about. It's not English. It's not English. When you go to court, that is a very, very special language that they are using. They do not deal in English. And with that thought in mind, we'll go to a break, Mark, but I want you to elaborate with your thoughts on the word signature, please.
Sure. Absolutely, Santos.
Okay. Let's go. Off to a break. Thank you.
Okay.
With Santos Bonacci and special guest Mark Hollywood. Mark, please share your YouTube handle with folks before we go any further. I forgot to do that at the start.
Oh, absolutely. It's Hollywood, just like it sounds. HOLLYWOOD 6641. So all lowercase Hollywood 6641. Great.
Yeah, because then they've got a some resources and something to look. You've got some great videos there with a lot of fantastic instructions and information. It's just a wealth of information. So thanks for that, for doing that for folks. Mark, your thoughts on the on sign. You see, because they love for you to sign here, please. See the dotted line? Yeah.
Yep.
Could you? They want you to sign. Oh, they love that word, signing. Sign here, sign there, everywhere a sign.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, absolutely. Back to the Bible. The Bible said, don't go running around in sin. And everybody runs around, and you take sign, take the G out. So signature, SINATURE. URE stands for you're at sin. Sin at your, you say it backwards, you're at sin. And you know what's funny, Santos? You remember when you took trigonometry in school because everything's electrical in nature, right? The elect, Lady L, the electron, right? Atom is in Adam and Eve, or Adam is in the atoms and part of the electrons, right? Well, when you take SOHCAHTOA, you take those three triangles, right? You have SOHCAHTOA, which is basically your sine divided by your opposite times your hypotenuse, but that's your sin. That's your sin wave, your sine wave. So you have which is your sin, you have ka, and then you have TOA, or T divided by O times A, which is your tangent. So everybody's running around applying for sin, social insurance numbers or SS numbers in the States, and then they're running off on tangents. And back to everything being electrical, what's the cop doing when he's pulling you over? He's applying the voltage, which is the applied pressure, and he's drawing up a charge. And he's bringing that document, that dead corporate piece of paper, to life by charging it and certifying it.
Ha! Wow. That's mind-boggling. So, Mark, do you think that once people return to the true jurisdiction, because there's got to be a remedy, they have to provide a remedy, right? Which basically lies in the awakening of the masses. Unless they awaken, there will not be a remedy.
That's
can
right.
You talk to
and
that,
you know what, Santos?
please?
We are the remedy. People are going to court looking for the pursuit of happiness, right? And it's like you said earlier, everything, like all these words don't mean what people think they mean. You're back to the alpha and the bet. So you put the two of them together, you bet that we have the alphabet or the alpha male who's going to steal your money and property in a court, because everything's just like a game of cards. It's a game of Texas Hold'em. Whoever has the best suit, lawsuit, wears the best suit, is going to win. And we have to remove that from these people and say, no, I'm not even citing myself then as being a citizen on your ship. We have to come back to land where the Bible told us to be stewards of the land, which is our bodies, because we're electrical in nature. And instead, everybody wants to run out on a tangent applying for sin. And it blows my mind. Like so many people, they'll write me up and they'll go, well, I don't know what to do. And it's like, listen, it's simple. If you like cheeseburgers or cheesecake, you go see your notary. Listen, I like cheesecake, or I'm no longer a citizen anymore. And here, certify this. Take it down to the authentication officer or the business services official documents and appointments in Canada, which falls under the Justice and Attorney General Corporate Services Division. Have it authenticated or apostilled, as they call it in the States, and be done. Put an ad in the paper for 20, 21 days, and then nobody can come along and contest the fact that you like cheeseburgers or cheesecake or that you're not a citizen. And it's just that simple. And so many people, they don't even want to trust the very essence of their being, that they're so busy running around with their heads cut off like chickens with their heads cut off that they're looking for the answers outside themselves when in fact they are the answer.
They are the answer. Yeah.
That's right. You don't dare look to a court for remedy. The only remedy you'll find when you go to court is the fact that they'll give you a remedy, all right. They'll take your money and then say thanks, and then you'll say, well, I have rights. And they'll look at you and go, oh, are you a citizen? Yeah. Oh, well, you don't have rights. And that's basically a matter for the appeals court to judge. If you don't like my decision, that's what the judge will say. And, well, you know, whether I'm right or wrong in my decision, you can take that to appeals court. But then you need $6,000 just to walk through the gate at the court again to find out you're going to lose your $6,000. So anybody thinking that they're going to find remedy with these people, no, the remedy starts with us. We are the remedy. We were supposed to remain stewards of the land, and here we are running around signing for things, sinning for things, when all along, well, we should be stewards to the land. Like I'll be honest with you, Santos, I think the majority of us are idiots. We go to work and we'll go buy a house and a car and clothes, so that we go to work so that we can pay for the clothes, we can pay for the house, we can pay for the car, and meanwhile, we're paying for a house that we spend half our time at work, so we don't even see our house, and then we're running around buying groceries when we were told to remain stewards of the land, which meant to grow our own fruits and vegetables on the land.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I've been noticing and understanding fully, that when you go to the grid for all of your services, you're actually doing an injustice to yourself and the whole world, because you're supporting a corporate structure, even for food. You know, the way we have these big shopping outlets like Safeway and that are monopolizing all the food and everything like that, and we go to those places like their churches, and we get our food from these buildings. You know, we go into the buildings and they've got these aisles and they've got all the food stacked up there that they've they've stockpiled there, and we just go in there and we get our food there, and we rely on this grid. What happens when the grid goes? Who knows how to plant vegetables, and grow them? Not many people.
That's right, Santos. And that's exactly what these corporate dictatorships or potatorships are looking for. They're banking on the fact that we were told to be stewards of the land, and we said we don't want to do that. you know, all these people, they're running around with like the 7 deadly sins. They're not honoring their 7 chakras, you know, you know, and that was something else, like the 7 days of creation in the Bible, you know. The 7 deadly sins, they tell you to avoid anger and lust and envy and pride and sloth and greed and gluttony, and everybody's running around. Oh, if I don't get mine, somebody else will. And even me, Santos, like myself, I feel like I'm outnumbered by these idiots because they want to support greed and gluttony and envy and, you know, even these, like we've been doing these jobs. We've had more people try to screw us over when, in all essence, we're going in with love, doing the best possible jobs we can do for these people and giving them nothing but love and respect. And at the end of the day, they're trying to shit on us because they want us. They're so greedy. They want to save their $2, you know. And it's just disgusting. It makes me sick. And even the other day, like somebody was saying to me, they were, oh well, you know, if you did this, and I don't know why you're not out being an electrician. And it's like, do I want to give the government $5 so they can go buy bullets? And I says, you call yourself a Catholic? I says, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know, I'm just so tired of all these self-righteous assholes, you know, because they got pride. And, you know, it's almost like the Buddhist monk. Somebody says, oh, well, I want to be happy. And he says, well, remove the I want to be. And he says, you have happiness. You know, it's just that simple. But, you know, people want to just, I don't know, coagulate this system with more bullshit. And they think everything that they see on TV is true, and like, you know, television, and they better wake up. I don't know. They better wake up is all I can say.
Oh yeah. It's time for the dead to rise, the resurrection of the dead.
That's it.
Yeah, no two ways about that, Mark. All right, well, look, I'm going to open up the lines. We're going to a break now. We're at the top of the hour, so when we come back, we'll take some calls. So you're welcome to call in, folks, please, and talk to Mark Hollywood, and soon, hopefully, we'll be joined by Kate of Gaia. So we'll leave it at that, and let's go to the break. Welcome to the second hour of the show. You're with Santos Bonacci and special guest Mark Hollywood. Mark... Mark, so we're talking about humanity waking up and taking ownership, responsibility for looking after the land and looking after their flesh blood organism, as opposed to defending, let's call it, their legal entity, which is a dead fiction. So. How do we get people, or how do people actually do this in their lives? Where do you start? Where do we start with helping people to get back their true freedom by opting out of the system, or perhaps finding remedy? What's the remedy, Mark?
Well, the thing is, in the system, Santos, there is no remedy. And look at the word REM. REM is in rapid eye movement, die. So rapid eye movement, I die. I don't like remedy. I'm not into remedy. I'm into the law, and the laws of the jungle. Every man for himself, but in love, not in greed, not in lust, not in gluttony, pride and sloth and envy and all that other stuff. And we, like, for example, I took over my life when one day I woke up and I didn't like what I was seeing, and it was like, you know, do I want to vote for a conservative, a conservative? No. The first 3 letters. He's a con. Like voting for a congressman. A con. No, I'm tired of dealing with cons. I'm tired of applying for their stuff, being an applicant. App, lie, can't. So if you're an applicant, of course you can't lie. And I said, you know what? I just have to start taking responsibility for what my life is and what my life isn't. And the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms stated that every Canadian had the right to enter in, remain in, and leave Canada. So I had the right to become a Canadian citizen. And then I had the right to not be a Canadian citizen, so I said, I'm no longer a Canadian citizen. I left Canada. And I did. I had it certified at the Notary Public's office. I went down to the Apostle office or the Authentications office, and they authenticated my documents, and then I even ran them through the Court of the Queen's Bench because this cop I was suing him, then I had dropped it, and then his lawyers were fraudulent. They were lending to some fraud by trying to sue me after the fact, and I just told them, I said, listen, I'm not a slave on your ship. I'm like Jesus. You might have thought I was once dead, but here I am. I'm alive and well, thanks, and I don't fly by your rules of slavery. And it's been a tough pill. I mean, I could easily go out and be an electrician and be on their ship and make all kinds of stupid money, but I just can't help support them killing my neighbors overseas. And never mind killing my neighbors overseas, they don't even want to feed the neighbors who are hungry in our own backyards. And then they have the nerve to talk about how beautiful and how awesome Canada is. Look at the word Canadian. Can I die in? No thanks. Not into it. And I would say that was the remedy, Santos. That's simple. I just said, I'm not a Canadian, went to the notary, had it certificated. It became a certificated security, went to the authentications office, sent out the respective notices, wound up in the into the Court of Queen's Bench on the federal side of the court, and said, yeah, here you go, guys. I'm no longer a slave on your ship. Even the judge, he said, oh, well, you're going to owe money, da-da-da-da-da. And I looked at him and I says, I won't owe you a cent. I says, I am a private man, and I says, I am not a slave on your ship. And I says, I believe, sir, you've been paid. I gave him a security, which was the authentication, which is a bond, and that's why it has that ribbon and a wax seal on it, which means that it's money. I am entitled to the full faith and credit through Canada now because I went through the authentications office. And that's what I told the judge. Listen, you've been paid. You had the full faith and credit of Canada. Why are you trying to bill me now? That would be fraud on his part. And they never sent me a bill. And in all actuality, Santos, if anything, the last few officers I've dealt with, they were very nice to me, and I was nice back.
Yep, for sure. Peaceful inhabitant.
That's right. But I did the route correctly by seeing my notaries, having them all securitized, those certificates, and having them all authenticated. Otherwise, all these people, like, they have to understand that if you go the same way you get into their system by applying for a birth certificate, back to that mighty word, certificate, back to a statement of live birth certificate, you must take a certificate, say, here's my certificate, noticing your certificate, that I'm no longer a slave on your ship, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms says so. And if anybody thinks that they're going to be the beneficiary to a dead corporate name, well, again, the Bible told you not to worship the dead, and if you don't get shot on one side, you'll get shot on the other because you're acting like a double agent. And I truly believe that's the only remedy. Like, there's lots of people out there, and I won't get into mentioning their names, and they're, oh, well, you can be a citizen, and just tell the cop that, oh, well, I'm not on duty that day. No, if you're producing a license, a driver's license, you might as well be saying, I'm a slave on your ship, let me on. And, of course, the cop's going to make the assumption as sue me, or the presumption, pre-sue me, that you're on the ship. Why else would you be giving him a license? And look at the words, LIECNTS, license. So if these people want to apply for their licenses and they want to be applicant, they can't lie, which makes no sense, but it'll make the courts and this fraudulent government all kinds of sense, will be my guest. But that's the only remedy.
It makes sense to them, doesn't it? Because they've been taught in the arts of deception. So basically the system is, when you sign, you've signed up to the devil. It's right. The devil. Yeah. But the devil is telling you that he's God, you see, because these guys don't go around, saying, oh, we are truly evil what we're doing. They're poncing around looking good. So they're obviously trying to look good and legitimate, and You know, they've got the Bible in court and all of their legalese words, which sound really, really highfalutin and special. And they've got their oaths and they've got their garb. They look pretty good. They've got these black, garments and these funny-looking wigs. So they look all authentic and everything like that. And we're here to protect justice and, we're running an honourable ship. And so there's all this godliness about it, but really it's the devil. But I'm not talking about God and the devil like the churches are talking about. It's a system. And God always stands for the good part of the system, or, what is good, what we consider to be good, and the devil stands for what is bad. So, but these people are actually doing the devil's part, you see. This is what their nature, their true nature really is. It's something quite devilish. Do
and
evil.
And you know what, Santos? You take the D out of devil, and what do you have? Evil. And you're talking about the system, right? Never mind SYSTEM. CYSTEM is in the system, right? And what's a system? It's a plumbing system, for God's sake. And what flows through plumbing? Shit.
Yeah.
And people want to deal with this system when it's demonic, demon-IC. Even God, they make God sound like it's a good thing. Well, God has no, I don't buy names, because if I spell God forwards and I spell it backwards, I get dog. And on the American dollar bill, they say, in God we trust. So in dogs they trust, and they call it justice, just them, right? And people are running around going, well, it's an injustice. Well, no, it's an unjust them, because they're taking your money. And so like the whole thing, it's like people going to court and saying, well, I refuse that, Your Honor, and the judge will look at you and smile, because you've just said you've reattached yourself. If you refuse 2 pieces of metal, you've just refused them, haven't you? So people better wake up. They go to school to learn how to spell. They've been put in a spell. They learn how to spell words. They should be hooked on phonics instead of stuck on stupid. But then just to confuse matters, after they go to school to learn how to spell, they receive a lesson. So they go to school, they receive a lesson instead of a lesson, and they're put in a spell. And then to confuse matters more, these Catholic schools and these protest ants and these Anglicans, these Anglicans, they'll give you a Bible, a ghost spell to confuse you more. And look at the words, confuse. You've been fused by a con. And then you go to court and say, well, I refuse that. And then the judge will say, good, I got a con. Oh, you're reattaching yourself. And then the judge will look at you and smile, and he'll say, are you contesting this? And you'll say, yeah. And he'll go, good, now I know I got a con in my court. And he's a friggin' priest of death. He wears a black robe, the sick bastard.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Absolutely.
So, refuse and contest. There you go. Look at those 2 words. You go in there creating controversy by refusing and contesting. And refusing means to fuse you two, and contesting, basically means the same thing, doesn't it? And
absolutely.
And look at
Santos, that. That's why the Bible says, are you the parables? Are you parable? Are you able to speak at par? And these people go into court being adversarial, adding verse RI all, and they're going, oh, yeah, we have a defendant here. Are you the defendant? Oh, good, you're an ant. Okay, good, you must be here to contest this and refuse this. Good, you're a sucker. You're a sucker with a capital S. And only a sucker would worship the dead, because we were told not to worship the dead. And then we run around claiming that we're dead, And
it's another way of putting it is it's idolatry. The name is an idol.
That's right. We don't need names. My dog calls me woof, my bird calls me tweet, and my cat calls me meow.
Yeah.
We all smile in the same language. We don't need the same land gauge. We don't need words. It's like these people. They're they call it the world atlas. At a T, it's their world at last. Like, people better wake up. And then We live in the atmosphere, atmosphere, and then we live on a thing called the planet. Maybe we're part of the net plan, and what do you receive at the end of the week when you go to work? A net pay. You know, like, whoa, people better give their heads a shake, because what they think isn't. And, you know, I have a simple philosophy. I spell things forwards like God. If I spell it backwards and it equals dog, and then I see in God we trust or in dog we trust, that tells me right there, well, better lose the name. You know, my spirit, my spy right is the creator, C-R, you know, 8-or, right? You know, even the word divine, die and vine, oh, that just don't sound good. You know, like, do I want to be divine, die vine? No. I want to be happy, for God's sakes. You know, at least happy. If I spell it backwards, it still, you know, sounds weird, but it doesn't sound like you say live. Well, you got evil backwards. You say God. You got dog backwards. Do I want to worship a dog? No. Do I want to worship a God? No. I lose the name and I worship the Creator. And even the word worship, you know, oh my God. And then everybody's running the church and they're worshiping. You know, you want to worship at a church? Oh, my God. And especially, like you say, here's these tax collectors collecting at church. And meanwhile, here was Jesus, whether he was around or not, supposedly flipping over these money changers' tables. And people are so stupid that they want to go to church and they want to pay taxes. To a priest in a black robe, a priest of death. Not even a priest of light. It's I don't know. It's just, it's sick.
It is. It's a sick joke. It's a sick joke, and hopefully folks are waking up to this, how the system works. They're operating a slick machine which is there for the purpose of stealing your wealth and energy. Simple as that. They're harvesting the energy and the resources of the masses and channeling them to the few. Just like George Carlin said on the break, you know, he says there's no chance for remedy. It's all rigged. He says everything, the whole lot of it, is rigged and stacked in their favour. Yeah, what a way to steal the true wealth and resources from the masses and give them to the elite few. Very interesting.
That's right. And you know, Santos, everybody's running around, all these citizens, all these cited as Zens, slaves on these ships, they all want limited liability, the ability to lie. They want limited liability. I have unlimited liability because I'm not paying some, you know, like I'm not paying for, like, say, this insurance or that insurance. And all these people, too, they're going to see brokers at brokerages. Well, you look at the word broker. You think to be broke after you deal with this money? These people, because they're taking your money. And everybody wants limited liability when we were told not to.
Yeah. Let's go to a break, Mark, and we'll be back after the break. Special guest, Mark Hollywood. So, Mark, what about people who are not prepared to go down the line of getting off the ship, want to stay on the ship, and perhaps have to get herded into court? Any advice?
Absolutely, Santos. They fall under the laws of contract, and I suggest they honor those contracts, even if the courts are wrong and the cop says you're doing 60 in a 50 zone. If you weren't, pay your ticket. Otherwise, you're just going to make matters worse. You're going to get labeled. You're going to get labeled as a slave / a free man, and you'll be negated, and these people will just take your money. And if you don't pay, well, then they'll throw you in the debtor's prison.
Okay, no other remedy?
No other remedy, Santos. The thing with me, Santos, is, like, I see all these people. I tried everything, right? Like, I was a citizen, and I tried fighting the courts, and the court won. Then I took on the courts not being a citizen. I won. You know what I mean? Because then I am the creditor over the I'm the principal over the agent, right? Because I'm not a slave on their ship. So they can't say, well, you're a debtor / agent / trustee on the ship. So, and I think the biggest thing I want to say, Santos, is all these gurus or people who claim to be gurus online, unless you people out there, you good people, see certificated, authenticated proofs of claim from these people, they're talking shit. And I mean absolute shit. Because you need, unfortunately, even though you got to use their system to get out by saying, I'm not a Canadian, use their notary public, use their authentications office, the same way you got into the system is the same way you get out. Otherwise, if you have contractual obligations, like you're married to a wife, well, don't be running around whoring and cheating on her or doing 60 in a 50 zone. You have to honor those contracts, or you'll, she's entitled to half of what you own. It's just that simple, people. And like I say, Santos, all these, to all your good listeners, all these people who, oh, well, I was listening to this guy and I was listening to that guy. Well, you ask these people for certificated proofs of claim, like court wins or anything for that matter. Oh, you're a sovereign? Well, I want to see a certificated proof. If they don't have it, they're full of shit.
Yep. Beautiful. So, so getting off the ship is the true path to remedy.
That's right.
Do you think that for most of the average folks out there that don't know too much about law and all the process that you've taken, do you think that there's a simple 1, 2, 3 steps that they can do to actually get off the ship? Is it simple or is it very complicated? It appears to be slightly complicated.
I'll word it like this, Santos. The truth is simple, and the truth requires few words. I'm not a citizen on your ship, right? Canada, the Charter of Rights and Freedom, says every Canadian has the right to enter in, remain in, or leave Canada. I said I left Canada. I said I no longer have any contractual obligations or agreements with you people, and I'm not a Canadian. I went and saw my notary. He certified it, went to the authentications office, had it authenticated or apostilled, whatever you want to call it, and that was that. And that's how simple it is. Why do I want to get caught up in, oh, well, what's this bylaw say? Well, what's the Police Services Act say? Well, what does the Civil Act say? I couldn't care less. Somebody wants to take me to court, I say, listen, do you know who you're dealing with? By the way, my name, Mark Simser, it's a common law autographed trademark name. You use my name again, and this is a fair warning. It's a notice, no enticement at all. So that's about it. People just have to keep it simple. No, I'm not a slave on your ship. I'm not a Canadian. Notary public. Yeah, okay. Authentications office. That's it. That's all. Anybody pulls me over, I pull out an authentication, or I simply tell them who I am. And, go on to Hollywood 6641 YouTube or go into my Forerunner site, and they'll soon find out that, whoa, do we want to deal with this guy because he has unlimited liability? I can lie till the cows come home because I'm not a Canadian. Yeah, and
wonderful. Of course, you've got the protected measure of belonging to the Squamish Nation. Is that also something that you would recommend, that people align themselves with a true sovereign nation?
Absolutely, because otherwise you're flying with the devil.
Yeah,
and
of course, Irene was with us a month ago, and that was fantastic to have all that she shared with us about the Squamish Nation. Is there any way for folks to join that nation, Mark? Is there, and if so, how?
Absolutely, Santos. I'm just going to pull it up here. I've got it somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact. I'm just looking here.
Where was the question? Not how. So where can they go, and websites, etc.
Yeah, I'm just looking here, Santos. I've had it down. Okay, they can go to, if they Google Squamish government.
Yep.
So if they Google the sovereign Squamish government, just like it sounds, or they can go to sovcom.net to check us out as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, I just had a side thought here, Mark. Do you know the work of Kevin Annett?
I'm not too familiar with them. I know what's going on, and I know that like lots of natives' rights have been violated and stuff, and they found dead bones to lots of children who were abused and well, whatnot. I'll leave it at that. But that's probably about the most I know, Santos.
Yeah, well, look, I saw a 6 or 7 minute video yesterday where Kevin Annett spoke, and what they're doing is they are looking to shut down the operations of the Catholic Church. Put it that way. Now I've got a link for people that are interested in this story. All you need to do is perhaps Skype me at Santos Bonacci, or email me, and I'll share the link with you. A sovereign here, or I should say, what do we what do we want to call ourselves? Sovereign's not really the word, is it?
Men on the land, nationals, men on the land.
Yeah.
Don't even use the word free men, because we don't work for free.
Yeah. Look, this is the link. I'll share it with folks now. It's called. You can go to the internet. It's called itccs.org. So itccs.org, and then of course I think you've got to put in some other information. I would be looking for Catholic Church faces disruption and banishment as Irish Cardinal set to resign. Now, I just want to share this because this is pretty big news, right? There are 5 nations in Europe that have given the Catholic Church till September the 15th, 2012. And this is what they're asking. The Roman Catholic Church faces permanent disruption and banishment in at least 5 countries if it does not comply with 10 non-negotiable measures by September 15th, 2012, according to a global coalition of survivors of church rape and torture. The list of measures was issued today at a meeting in Dublin, Ireland, where Archbishop Dermot Martin and representatives of anti-Catholic Church activists worldwide and the Magdalene Laundry survivors and the International Tribunal to Crimes of Church and State Ireland. So Kevin Annett is, he's the, I think he's the president or something of this secretary. There you go. Yeah. And he's denounced. It's a 7-minute video, and they've announced that the Catholic Church must denounce all known pedophiles and defrocked. Otherwise, they will cease to operate, and they're going to shut down the Catholic Church. Hallelujah! Great information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
so
God.
I'll pop that. Yeah, I'll pop that in the chat there of American Freedom Radio, because they might be able to pass that on if they don't mind there at the station, and for your benefit too, to pass that on, and I'll have that for people that are interested in that article and spread it around, because hope, of this devilish system falling, because I've exposed in my videos, Mark, as you know, that the Catholic Church and the Vatican are at the top of the hill. They run the whole thing. It's their empire, and there's just a few creepy elite families that are hiding behind this corporation of the Vatican, collecting Peter's pence since the days of Constantine, and they have no right. They're harvesting human souls. It's people trafficking. That's all it is. They've created securities and bonds and chattel, from the chattel, and harvesting our energy and collecting taxes for a fiction. It's a corporation. It's a corpse. It's an idol, and time to shut it down.
That's right. Absolutely.
Time to say, no, we don't like this game. and we're going to consciously deal with it. Because in the scriptures, it says in the letter of 1 Peter, I think it is, it's either 1 Peter or 2 Peter, but it was Peter's writing where he says that this world will be destroyed by fire. And of course, Christians get taught that that's literal fire, you see, so they're all afraid and waiting for this destruction by fire. But what it's talking about is consciousness. Fire is consciousness. Remember, Prometheus stole the fire from the gods and gave it to mankind. That's consciousness. That's all it is. So the world, which is a fictional world, all fictional constructs, is this world that we're talking about, this devilish world. And it's consciousness that's going to destroy it. That's what it's talking about when it says the world will be destroyed by fire. So either we be a part of it or we go down with it, because it's going down.
That's right. That's right. And you know, the meek shall inherit the earth. And they don't mean the weak. They mean the smart-minded, the people with the fire in their belly and in their brain.
Yeah. And another scripture says that the kingdom of heaven shall establish itself on the earth. Well, heaven, see, once you have the keys to understanding the scriptures, there's no mistake about what it means when it talks about heaven. In the body, there are three, in the scriptures, the body is divided into three segments. The cranium is the heavens. The heart, the heart is the mid-earth, or the mid-garden, and the bowels and the generative area and all of the lower regions attached to the spinal cord, that is hell. So, for the kingdom of heaven to establish itself on the earth, we need to go into the cranium. In other words, we need to lift the energy through the chakras, or let's call them the plexuses, because many churchgoers do not like the word chakra. They think it's from the devil. But it's not. It's just another word for plexuses along the spinal cord. Once we raise that beautiful energy up into the cranium, into the higher mind, then we've returned to the kingdom of heaven. And we shall also reign and rule as kings and priests. Now, a king is someone who is asking questions, because when you look at the word as king, ask king, this is why the magistrate is always asking questions, because he is sitting as king. So let's go to the break, and we'll come back after the break, Mark, for the final segment and continue this thought of being kings and priests.
Cool. I like that.
You're with Santos Bonacci and Mark Simser, or Mark Hollywood, from Hollywood 6641 YouTube site. Get into it. I've spent many hours. Yeah, I've spent many hours there and learnt many, many good little things. Now, Mark, remember I was talking about the scripture in 2 Peter. It's actually 2 Peter chapter 3. I'd like to read a portion from the Bible, because this is the remedy. The remedy's it's in the Bible. It's actually in there, you know. And it has to do with awakening from the dead. But this is the scripture, and it goes like this. This is from the Jehovah's Witness Bible, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. I still have mine, which I received in 1981 when I first started studying with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's an old Bible, but it's been faithful and true. And it says in 2 Peter 3, verse 10 onward, "Yet Jehovah's day will come as a thief, in which the heavens will pass away with a hissing noise. But the elements, being intensely hot, will be dissolved, and earth and the works in it will be discovered." Now that's a very powerful verse, because as I said before, heavens have to do with the system of things. That will be dissolved, and it will be dissolved by fire. Fire is consciousness. And all the works in the earth will be discovered. In other words, all the corruption and the way the system was working will be unfolded, and people will understand how the system works when they wake up from the dead and receive the consciousness from above, which will destroy the system. Now, it goes on to say, since all these things are thus to be dissolved, what sort of persons ought you to be in holy acts of conduct and deeds of godly devotion? Well, this is what we're trying to achieve by being lawful, by being lovers of conscious, lawful behaviour. We're not subscribing to the legalese and the legal system because it's a fiction. We are wanting to reinstate law, the law of the universe on this planet, where we can be free and happy and live peacefully.
That's right.
So that's what it's saying there. What sort of persons ought you to be? But there are new heavens and a new earth that we are awaiting according to his promise. And all in these righteousness is to dwell. It's simply talking about the new system that is coming, which is consciousness. That's what it's talking about. And the dissolving of the old to make way and to make way for the new. Would you like to speak to that, please, Mark, for the next, say, 7 or 8 minutes we have left?
Yeah, you know what, Santos? It basically comes down to love. We have to start loving each other. Even if I'm talking with somebody and I tend to disagree with them, I still have to love the essence that is them. And I find too many people, they're running around out there and they're being adversarial and, well, I'm better than you, and they care more about their bitchy golf partners than our neighbors overseas getting killed. And they, we have to come down to whether we agree or agree to disagree. We have to come down to stopping with the judgment and being judgmental. We must become the observers. No judgments, just observe and allow what is to be and what is, and I think once we do that, I think we'll be on the right track. Because too many people, all they want to do is deal with their egos, earth guides only, and well, that's what they're going to get back is a manifestation of bullshit. So, if we start loving one another, and even police and lawyers and judges, and we have to re-educate these people because, like the Bible says, forgive these people for they know not what they do. And until we can forgive and forget, well, we're going to be stuck in the same demonic system, and we can't do it. And actually, what I would like to say, though, Santos, a little off topic, is I would like to say a big thanks to you for being the man and for doing what you do, and the same to American Freedom Radio. I would just like to say, hats off to you guys, and, big, much love to you guys for being the truthers that you guys are and opening up the eyes and ears of people that you guys have been, because this is what it takes.
Yeah, look, and I'm so honoured and happy to be with American Freedom Radio because, there's a lot of great radio stations out there that are doing a similar thing, like Red Ice, TNS over in Ireland, and Scottish Sovereigns, etc. But American Freedom Radio is exceptional in that it allows people like myself who don't have any agenda, that are not connected to any sort of, sneaky little organisations hiding in the background creepily, I don't know, that have some affiliation with churches and whatnot. Here, most of the hosts are just individuals like myself that are researchers and who love the truth, love honesty, love law, and really want to see remedies and are offering ways out of this grid of corruption and system. So, hats off to American Freedom Radio, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it. I'm probably going to have to stop doing the radio, and I've already spoken to the guys here at American Freedom Radio, probably mid-July. So for the listeners there, I'm announcing right now that I'm just going to stop doing the radio and concentrate. I've got piles and piles of books and research that I need to do to get more information out there. I mean, I've only scratched the surface with what I've presented on my videos, Mark. So, but I'm finding that I'm doing so much radio that I'm getting more and more irritated at the fact that all these good books are just waiting for me to get into. There's so much research to uncover, and I can share it better if I'm off the air. So eventually, I'm going to when I wind down with all the great guests that I've got some great guests lined up too. By the way, hoping to get Jordan Maxwell on with me before I. Yeah, and also I'm hoping to get Bill Donahue, two of the world's leading astrotheologists. I must endeavour to get those on. Next week I've got a gentleman called Stelios Tapinakis. He's called in a few times. He's called the Greek. He's going to be with me. And then after that I've got the Postmaster General, James Thomas McBride. He's going to join me in the next weeks. And also, some guys from Peaceful Inhabitants who are dealing with similar concept to lose the name, win the game, and we're going to be talking about how to talk in court if you need to. So I've got some great guests lined up for the next couple of weeks, Mark.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Any finishing words and thoughts and encouragement for our listeners, please?
I love all you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And if you get Jordan Maxwell, let me know. I'd love to jump in on that puppy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome to call in and spend a segment with us.
Sure. I'm in Santos. Like I say, between you and American Freedom Radio, and it takes a group of people to move mountains, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, too good, Mark. And can you point to people to what products you've got on your YouTube page, and identify them and name them for folks so they can go straight there, click on the names, and learn all the different subjects that you've got there. Can you share with us all the subjects and what videos to go to, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Santos. Basically what I did, everybody, I just called everything birth certificate, Seminar 1, Seminar 2, Seminar 3, up to 14. And then I have birth certificate, laws of contract, and then I have, I think it's a video just entitled Leaving Canada. And the caption is, Mark Simser has left the building, kind of like Elvis Presley. And I think that's about it. I used to have more, but I deleted them because people were just simply getting too confused. So I figured this was like the easiest way to explain things and keep things straightened out. And just remember, people, I don't deal with anything on the ship. So if you're looking for the laws of double agency, it'd be like being a double agent for Russia and the U.S., you're bound to get shot on one side. So that's why I don't promote being a citizen at all. I know I've been arrested. I've had the mental health assessment team come to my door, and, God bless, knock on wood, I'm still in one piece, and here I am. So that's
beautiful. Thanks, Mark. We've come to the end of the show. Yep, and I'd like to thank the listeners. Stay tuned next week for some great material. Bye-bye.
No rules. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio.